77 for bales per bale, so really not great income, but operating, there we go. It's a little bit of income, so that's okay. Ah, yes. I finished my tea, so we're just down to the Mountain Dew for the rest of the session. Probably this afternoon I'll spend a little bit of time watching what's it, Avengers Endgame, since that's where I've got up to watching all of the Avenger movies. And until yesterday I hadn't seen Captain Marvel, I believe it's called, and I have not seen Endgame yet. As usual, my preference is to pick up a row to as far out on the field as I can, catch everything at the bottom, and then head back. So each trip is shorter because I have to come less far. Well, now one of the interesting things about this trailer is if you load it with silage bales and save the game and then come back in, all of your silage bales are finished brewing and are ready to sell or feed to animals. Which is weird. I mean, obviously, when I'm placing them, they're tagged as, yo. And oh, we did get that one. Try not to run in the grass. Yeah, they're tagged as silage with 2 hours to brew or whatever. But if you save the game, they suddenly just become silage, and it loses the how long is left for them to become silage. So they stop being wrapped grass and become silage during the save. But there's a bunch of stuff that. And good morning, Mr. Micah. Welcome to the Not Saturday stream. So I will try and do this a little bit better by turning the wheel the right way. So I'll just nudge it over a little. I'm going to have to straighten up the cab to get through the gate. Actually, I might just stick it right back into the cell trigger, and we'll just unload it onto the back of the truck. How's that sound? So offer operating. There we go. And do that again. And then just jump off and throw the last 2 into the cell point. Oof. So, no, I mean, not bad. That was 6, maybe 7,000 income just from those. So, it's kind of okay. We can't do any more harvesting right now. So we'll turn that off as well. And we'll go and find the JCB, I guess. Because the JCB is something we can do while it's raining. Oh my goodness, we've been gone so long. do not need to press buttons. Now this job would actually be easier with the telehandler because the telehandler has auto-load forks. Since all of these are nicely stacked at the moment, so long as I don't knock them all over. Using this piece of equipment, not too bad. It's just that when I get here with an auto load, I just turn off the auto load function and they all fall off. Whereas with this, I can drop them all down the back and just get frustrated. I'm not actually sure how many bales or how many stacks we've sold now. I think we made about 80,000 from the first day sale. I guess since it's now chomping on the digestate, we can speed up time a tad. Well, now that's another thing I do like about Farm Sim 22. I'm finding that a ×3 standard game rate works out quite nicely for what I do. And then frequently I will go to sleep at 10 o'clock in the morning because I've done everything. But the fact that we've got a ×2, a ×3, a ×6, and a ×10 is very nice. You know, there are mods in 19 that give you alternate time-lapse rates, but as I said, I still think the biggest thing is being able to use a sleep trigger at any point in the day, so you can wake up and immediately sleep trigger again. Typically I don't. I will wake up, I will look at what's for sale in the store, and I'll check the mini-map overlays to see what's going on in my fields, and then I'll immediately go to sleep. But that does mean... oh, come on. Fall off. Outside a situation like this where I have manual stuff to do, and I think on my private game I'm currently looking at, oh, what is it? I have a big field that I am baling as a contract, and that is a big thing. It takes way too long. Yeah, I tend to break it up into sessions. In this, yeah, in Farm Sim 19 with grass, hay and straw, if it rains the bales will break down. So those straw bales I have on the field, and potentially the one in the baler, is all gonna get smaller. The clover is not affected by weather. I did that test right at the beginning after the reboot when we moved to farming agency version of the map. Clover hay, not affected by weather. Obviously these bales are all wrapped, so again not affected by weather because nice plastic wrapping keeps them all nice and dry. Plus silage isn't affected by weather. But I do have 2 straw bales on the field, and that's a little bit unfortunate, and so they will be smaller. And we're at 10:50 real time, or game time, so if I jump back to here, I think there's a bale on the back of this. That's still 4,000. Oh, you can't sprint with your little doodad out. This one, still 4,000. So if we check those at just gone 11 o'clock, they should be a little bit smaller. Where did my JCB go? And we could bump time up to times 15, which will push us over 11 o'clock quickly. I wasn't paying attention to the fill amount on the... Okay, I wasn't expecting that one to disappear first. And it's now 11 o'clock, so if we jump back to the field and now check those same two bales. I'll take a chainsaw to them, why not? That one's still 4,000, that's interesting. This one is on the ground. Yeah, so we've already lost 71 litres from that one. So I'm guessing the reason why that one hasn't dropped is because you have to unload the baler. If I unloaded the baler, they'll drop off. Now, yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, this particular playthrough, I tend to run at real time unless, real time I need to harvest a field. It's raining, I can't harvest a field, so I need to progress time a bit in order to get that done. I'm selling bales. Now that the digester's full, I want it to empty faster so that I can keep feeding bales into it. So that's when I'm using a steeped up time. But we're also doing 3-day seasons, and so potentially running, and I did do a session, what was it, Ungertheim. The slowest speed I was allowed to run was times 5, which meant that if I streamed for 2 hours, that was one game day. Now, there were some days where I have nothing left to do, so sort of let's move on to the next day. But predominantly I had so much to do, and there was 150 fields on that. Every single one of them had contracts, so I typically filled out my days with multiple contracts because they were tiny fields, and I had 95 horsepower tractor with a tiny little hauled spreader for all the harvesting work. But it was just, I can fill out my day. I don't need to speed up time anymore. And the rules of that particular playthrough was you're not allowed to play in real time. You have to play at least times 5. And it was an interesting little experiment. And I did find playing times 5 with 2 or 3 day seasons, you've got time enough to do everything. You don't have, because of the way the season works. So long as I complete all of my midsummer tasks by the last day of midsummer, it doesn't really matter if I do them on the first or the last day. So if we did suddenly have a bad weather event and it's the middle of harvest, not a problem, I've still got tomorrow. And I've still got the day after before we move on to the next month. And this is not empty enough. So the first one falls off. And the second one's probably being... No. Yeah, the second one's gone. Need to zoom in a bit. I'll drive that up. Drop it now. And disappear. Go, 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 go. So yeah, I mean for my big series, and this one I really do need to play for the most part in real time because of the amount of fields we have, and we really haven't upgraded our equipment. So I need all the time in the day to get most of my jobs done, even using workers. But you know, it's kind of a choice thing. I know. Oh, what is it? I think it's Virtual Farmer. He's doing a series at slowest rate of times 10. So that's an hour per game day, or an hour real time per game day, and I've thought that also might be a nice rate at which to play at. Because if you don't have, you know, back before we had lots of kids around and I moved and all that, I would stream multiple days a week, and my streams were typically 2 hours long. So at a ×5, having a game day per stream worked out well enough. But I did think that, you know, if I wanted to do an hour stream per day, that would be, yeah, that's not as easy to achieve, because you're then playing with the time. But much easier with 22, I think. And as I said, yeah, Virtual Farmer, if he's playing at ×5, I think he generally does a 2-day season. If he's playing at ×10, he'll do a 3-day season. And part of the reason for that is for situations like this. It rains. Now I've lost a day of harvesting, and it just so happens that tomorrow it's also going to rain. So if I was playing 2-day seasons, we're moving on. Not that map, that screen. You know, fortunately, wheat, oats, and the others, triticale, rye, and spelt, are all on the first day of harvest. We've got 3 seasons or whatever. We got midsummer, late summer, and early fall in which to complete those harvests. I'd like to get them done as soon as possible, but chances are, because it's raining now, it's raining tomorrow, we're not going to see the harvest of the canola and the spelt until day 6 of summer. So, but like I said, it's sort of making, with all my series, I try to make it a little bit different. Chances are, when we move this series to FS22, I will not be doing sheep at all. We've done sheep. We've got serious numbers of sheep on this map. We've got over 1,000. We've got 800 sheep, but potentially next year we will have over 1,000 sheep at the end of the breeding period, and I don't need to see any more sheep for a while. So I might do a cow farm. I might do a pig farm. Yeah, it really depends, but it's going to be something different. And then there's going to be other goals. For FS22, I don't think your best income comes from crops. Your best income comes from doing stuff with crops, converting your crops into something else. So converting your wheat, barley or sorghum into eggs makes more money. Converting your grass into milk makes more money. Converting your wheat into flour, or oats or whatever, into flour makes more money. So you're being encouraged to really, just being an arable farmer is not going to let you progress very quickly. It's still possible to, you're still going to make money, but I think the encouragement is we've added production abilities to the game, and you need to use them to get the best of everything. Now, from what I've seen of various people testing things, it seems that the best way to make money out of animals is meat. And I think I'm finding that on this game. If I don't think we're in period anymore. Yeah, this is midsummer. So we sold Monday. We sold sheep, we sold wool. And I think I made more money from the baby sheep than I did from the wool. Or it was very close. So, including animal sales in your plan is almost a definite must. You need to take advantage of animal breeding. If you just do the beef cattle, then you are going to make a ton of money selling the beef, because those cows are incredibly valuable after 36 months. If you're doing dairy cattle, you're still going to make a lot of money from selling the dairy cattle after 36 months, but there's bonus income from the milk. With sheep, your best money comes from selling the sheep, not from selling the wool. So you're really, wool is bonus income, milk is quite possibly bonus income, and you may get more from selling beef cattle rather than having milk cattle or dairy cattle. But then having dairy cattle and using the dairy to boost the yield or the income from milk may be an option. With sheep, I think you need the spinnery and you probably need the tailor in order to make the sheep worth doing. And yeah, eggs are a gold mine. But you're still taking wheat, barley or sorghum to create eggs. And again, having watched a recent test on crop yields, barley is still the best food option for animals, because barley produces more litres per acre than wheat, sorghum or oats. Oats doesn't matter because chickens don't eat oats. But you do far better to grow barley and feed that to your chickens than you do sorghum or wheat. And obviously, if you're doing flour mill, you probably don't want to have chickens, because that's a competing demand for your crop. But yeah, chickens are a production. In fact, all of the animals are production sources, except bees. Bees don't need anything to make honey; they just make it. And the same with the other things, the greenhouses. You just have to feed them water, and water can be gotten for free, or you can use a spigot and pay for it. But there's usually some point on the map where you can just go and pilfer some water from the local lake, pond, reservoir, whatever. But they're all income over time. I must admit, the 1.2 patch where they made all of the crates heavier so that you can't pick them up by hand, still a good thing, because watching some of the early FS22 videos is it's just painful the amount of pallets you get from all of the all of the greenhouses and the chickens and the sheeps, and it's just sort of, the pallets are coming out so fast and furious that it's just a chore to sell them. And a lot of people I know did go to auto sale of their greenhouse production because it was just too much of a hassle loading up the trailers, even by hand. Now they've doubled the capacity of those pallets, and so they spawn less frequently. You only have to do half the number of trips to the yard or to the sell point. So a little bit more encouragement to actually sell them yourself rather than just sell them from the greenhouse. Yeah, barley has been like that since, I knew that little tidbit since Farm Sim 17, and part of the giveaway is barley and wheat produce the same amount of stuff. Use the same amount of seed, but typically when you compare the best wheat price with the best barley price, barley always sells for less, and in this case 50 pounds per litre from the best to the best. Oats is more valuable. Oats produces the least amount of crop per acre than the other two. Barley produces the least amount, which is why it's so valuable, because they do balance out. You will find that, give or take minor fluctuations, you can sell a field of wheat for the same amount that you can sell the same field of barley. But barley is always less valuable per litre, which means it produces more. And testing goes to show that barley produces, I think, about 10% more litres of crop than wheat does. Which the knock-on from that is it's a better food source.